Welcome to another edition of Fast Break. I'm Penny Davis, NCAA National Coordinator of Women's Basketball Officiating. This video is the first of a two-part series on replay. This video will cover mandatory replay reviews. There are 4 types of plays that require a replay review, if replay is available. 3 of those involve situations where the game clock runs to triple zeros, and the 4th situation for when a fight has or may have occurred. Let's look at some plays. It is required for officials to use replay to confirm the on-court ruling of a made or canceled basket when the clock runs to triple zeros. Following the ruling on the court, officials will use replay to determine whether the try for goal that entered the basket was released before time expired on the game clock. When at review, officials will use the reading of zeros on the game clock above the basket. If the game clock is not visible, officials will then use the red light or LED lights around the backboard to make their decision. If those lights are not visible, the final piece of information to use in making the decision will be the sounding of the game horn. It's critical that officials find a view with the actual game clock above the basket if available. When there is not a game clock above the basket, the referee shall designate the official game clock from the options provided. Before the game begins, officials should confirm that the scoreboard clock they select is synced with the game clock. At the end of the game, even if the outcome is not impacted by the scoring or canceling of the final goal, it is still required for accurate game data for officials to perform the review of the final goal. The level of certainty that the officials have in the on-court ruling is not a factor in the need to review. The review is mandatory. This year, a new rule was adopted to allow for an opportunity for officials to get a critical end-of-game play correct when it involves a shooter's last foot being out of bounds before the release of the try for goal. This new rule permits officials to cancel a last-second goal when it is determined that the shooter's last foot was out of bounds before the release of the try, and to put the exact time back on the clock and resume play from the out-of-bounds location, awarding the ball to the opposing team. This can only be reviewed when the try for goal is released before the expiration of time, the try enters the basket, and there is no time remaining in the quarter or overtime. When reviewing these plays, it's important to conduct a thorough review. In this example, review the play from the start of the throw-in. Confirm that there was no deflection by white 15, the defender on the thrower in. Confirm the clock started on the first legal touch by red number 1. Confirm the try was released before triple zeros. Confirm there is no time remaining when the ball clears the net. The last foot is not reviewable as the try was not released before triple zeros. In this example, the shooter does step out of bounds and then brings that foot back in bounds. If all of the other criteria were met to allow this play to be reviewed, this is not an example of the new rule, since the last foot was inbounds at the time of the try. Our second type of mandatory review occurs when a shot clock is expiring near the same time as the game clock. Officials are required to use replay to determine whether a shot clock violation occurred before time expired on the game clock. Again, the on-court ruling must be made by the crew before going to replay. In this example, a shot clock violation did occur as the shooter did not release the ball before the expiration of time on the shot clock. When officials have clear and conclusive video evidence that the try was not released before the expiration of the shot clock period, the goal shall be canceled and the game clock set to the time of the shot clock violation. Play shall be resumed with a throw-in by the opponent at a designated spot nearest to where the shot clock violation occurred. It's worth noting that because time has expired in the quarter, this review may trigger immediate timeout if one is due, when it is determined that the violation occurred before the expiration of time. Review the play when there is time remaining, go to the media timeout if one is due, put time back on the clock, and resume play at the conclusion of the media timeout. The final review related to time expiring in any quarter involves scenarios where there is a foul called as the clock expires. Officials are required to use replay to determine whether a foul occurred before time expired on the game clock. When replay shows that the foul occurred before time expired, the official will put the exact time back on the game clock as to when the illegal contact occurred and not when the official signaled for the foul. At any time during the game, officials must use replay to determine whether a fight occurred and the individuals who participated and/or left the bench or substitution areas. Please refer to the altercation form and the CCA manual to assist with properly penalizing those who commit fighting acts or other infractions in the incident. At replay, officials need to identify those who committed fighting acts as well as those who served in a role of peacemaker attempting to resolve the conflict. Players and coaches should assist with their team members and not contact opponents when trying to resolve the conflict. Part of growing the game includes educating players, coaches, officials, and the fans of our game. Thank you for your interest in learning about NCAA women's basketball officiating.